Hey guys, and welcome back to my kitchen. Today we are going to make a delicious artisan bread in the Dutch oven. The recipe has a few simple ingredients, but it does take a little bit of time and patience. So let's get started. You will need some old-fashioned oats, and for your flour, you can use whole wheat flour, gluten-free flour, bread flour, whatever type of flour you prefer. I'm using a mix just because that's what I had and I ran out of the bread flour, so I'm complementing with some whole wheat flour, but it's up to you, whatever you want to use. You will also need a good quality yeast, a little bit of honey, and this is absolutely optional. You do not need to use the honey if you prefer not. So here I have 200 grams of oat flour that I made just by grinding the whole oats into flour. I also have 100 grams of the old-fashioned oats. I have 200 grams of the bread flour. I have 50 grams of the whole wheat. I have 25 grams of honey, 1.5 teaspoons of salt. Now I will add 6 grams of yeast to a measuring cup. And to that we will add 2 cups of warm water. And we are going to wait a few minutes until we see bubbles form on top. In the meantime, we will grab a big bowl and we will mix our flours together if you are using different types like I am. And our oats, as well as the salt. And you will just combine it well. You will then make a little hole in the middle for when we're ready to add our water. When you see a few bubbles at the top, you're just gonna go ahead and add your honey to that. And I'm just going to mix well. Now we will add the water to the flour, and for the next step, you're going to want to have wet hands, and you're going to start to incorporate. Now it's going to be a rough dough, so it's going to be a bit sticky. So if you need maybe a little more flour, a little more water, just have some next to you in case you need to add. You want the dough to come away from the bowl, and you will knead it for about 3 minutes. Now we will let the dough rest for about 1.5 hours to 2 hours, and we will leave it covered just on the countertop. So now we will check on our dough. And it looks like it has doubled in size, and as you can see, when you poke it, it recedes, which means it's perfect. Now we're gonna bring up the sides with a spatula, just like this, not disturbing the dough much. That's it. And we are going to cover for another 1 to 1.5 hours. Okay, so I actually let 1.5 hours pass, and as you can see, the dough has doubled. Now what I'm going to do is I'm going to add a little bit of flour. I'm going to remove my dough onto the counter. And I am going to want to just close it up a little bit into the middle, turn it around, kind of give it a shape. Just spray some oil on it. And I'm going to place my dough in it, and I'm going to let it rest while I warm my cast iron in the oven. Now you can use any type of cast iron you prefer as long as it has a lid. It could be just regular cast iron or with enamel. I'm actually going to use this one today just because it's prettier. I set my oven for 450 degrees, and I'm going to add my cast iron Dutch oven to the oven while it preheats. So in preparation for the cast iron to come out, I'm going to add a little bit more flour to the surface because I'm going to be taking this dough out. very carefully remove it from here. We want to touch it as least as possible. And I'm going to put a little bit of oats on top just to look pretty. And now I'm going to grab my bread. I'm going to put it in, close it. Then remove the lid and cook for an additional 15 minutes uncovered. The bread should be now nice and golden. And now for the moment of truth. And on this bread note, I thank you for watching.